Hey guys, it's Elle. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some forced proximity romances and giving you some recs. So I love this trope. I feel like in the past year I've really fallen for forced proximity romances, and I just feel like they lead to so much angst and tension in romances, and I have some really good ones on here, some all-time favorites, some new releases that I'm dying to talk about that I included in this video. So let's get right into this video. The first book I'm going to talk about is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I recently listened to this on audio, and this is a very long book, but I was just smiling and grinning the whole time while reading this one. It was just absolutely adorable. So this is the first book in Lauren Asher's newest series, the Lake Wisteria series. No, I think it's the Lakefront Billionaire series. I want to call it the Lake Wisteria series because it is set in Lake Wisteria. And so this book follows our heroine and hero, and they grew up together in this small town, and their moms are actually best friends. And so they have always kind of had a childhood rivalry when they were younger, and then they kind of almost had a moment where they might have started a relationship, but then that didn't happen, and she ended up falling for his roommate slash best friend in college. And so now it is years later, and she has broken up with her ex, and she's moving back to the small town, and Julian is the hero, and she ends up having to work with him while renovating this old founder's mansion in this small town. She actually owns, like, has her own TV show of redesigning different, like, I think she's an interior designer, so she like designs houses, and they have to work together. And I just loved the slow burn tension of them working together, knowing everything about each other, and just like falling for each other again for the second time. And it was just so beautiful. I really love this one. I loved all of like the relationships with their families are so cute and so involved in this story. If you just want a really cute, like, slow burn small town romance, this one is perfect. I was just like giggling. I loved like all of the little quirks in this book. Like, they pranked each other and they did all of these like funny things, and I just love how like Julian was so like head over heels in love with her, and it was just amazing. Like, I loved how he just could not stop himself from protecting Dahlia all the time, but like in a really like loving and cute way. And I just love this one. Love the tension. So good. The audiobook is amazing. Definitely go check this out. Then the next romance I'm going to talk about is Hold by Claire Kent. This is such a fun novella romance. I actually listened to this on audio, and I highly recommend the audiobook. It was amazing. It's only like 4 hours, so you can totally get through this in a day if you're just like sitting there and want to listen to something very spicy and fun. So this is the first book in the series, and it is set in like a futuristic post-apocalyptic kind of world. And so the heroine is actually an archaeologist, and she is digging on this site that she wasn't supposed to, and so she ends up getting captured, and she is sent to this prison planet. And when she gets there, she's given this advice to find the strongest man in the cell block area to protect her, so in exchange she would give him her body. And she finds the hero, and she ends up, you know, exchanging her body for protection, and he has like his own cell kind of in this jail, and he's very protective over her, and it's like one bed trope. The other book, Love Redesigned, was also one bed trope, just so you know, and this was one bed trope, and it's so good because it's like she like cannot protect herself without him, and he is very protective over her. There are some really fun spicy scenes of them in the like jail cell, and it was just so good. I love this one, and I loved how they slowly started falling for each other as well, like while they were in this prison cell together. It was just so good. Like, I loved this one. I give it 4 stars, but I did love this one. If you want like a really fun, like spicy, futuristic world romance with a very protective hero, I would pick this one up. It is so fun. Okay, so one of my favorites on this list, I had to include this one, of course, which is Ashes of You by Catherine Cowles. This is her newest release and is the 5th and final book in the Hartley family series, and I love this series so much. Like, the Lost and Found series has me in a chokehold. Like, I am devastated that this series is over, but this book is incredible and I just absolutely loved it. So the hero and heroine know each other kind of from the past of something that happened with the heroine, and now it is years later, and the hero really needs a nanny. He has 3 boys and he just needs some extra help. And so once he sees Hallie and realizes that she's applying for the nanny job, he's like, oh my gosh, like, is she okay to do this because of what happened and how they know each other from her past? And so she ends up being like his nanny, and it is so good. This is like age gap forbidden, forced proximity, because she has to like live in the house with them, and it is freaking amazing. This is one of my favorite books probably of the year. I just loved it so much. I loved like all of the angst of like they couldn't really be together, and they're both very tortured characters. And I just love Lawson so much. He is just such like a good person deep down, but he just doubts himself so much, and he's very guilty. Like, he has dad guilt, and I just loved Hallie's relationship with his sons, and it is just so fun. They are 3 sons, so I think it ranges from like age 5 to 16, and that was really fun because I don't read a lot of single dad romances where one of the kids is a teenager, and so that was really fun, and I loved her connection with his oldest son, and I just loved all the tension and angst in this romance. It is so good, and Lawson is a protective hero. Like, if something happens to Hallie, he is running to get to her and to help her, and I love this one. There's lots of suspense, of course, but this is so good. Like, Catherine Cowles saved the best one for last. Like, this is one of my favorites of the series. So much tension and angst, and just, it is so good. Then I have Twilight of Embers by Tessa Hale. This is another newer release that released in January, and I absolutely love this book. It is like a shorter romance. It's only like 250 pages, but it just like packs a punch. It is just so good. So this is a Why Choose dragon shifter romance with fated mates, forbidden aspects. One of the heroes is a billionaire, one of them is a professor at this university. So the heroine, she has a kind of a tumultuous past, and she is going to her first day at university, and she meets one of the heroes, and he instantly realizes that she is one of them. And she actually doesn't know anything about magic, anything about like paranormal beings. And so the hero has like 4 other brothers, they call them, but they're all like friends, like very found family vibes. And so it is their romance, and it is so good. Like, I loved all of the fated mates aspects. It is like kind of insta love, but that's because of like, you know, the fated mates part of it. But I love this one so much. I don't want to give too much away, but it is just so good. Like, if you love, like, if you're not a Why Choose fan, like, I feel like you would still really like this one. Each of the romances are very unique. The forced proximity aspect is that they are on, you know, at this university together, and there's some of the heroes that don't want to fall for her even though they are like mates, and so that brings like a hate to love aspect. Just so many amazing tropes, and I just love this book. It is so good. I cannot wait for the second book. It is just amazing. I like loved it, especially if you're an audiobook listener. I would recommend listening to this one on audio because there is just a stacked narrator cast. Like, there is Joe Arden, Connor Kress, I think it's Teddy Hamilton, Jason Clark, I'm pretty sure, and maybe Jacob Morgan. But it is just so good. Highly recommend this one of my favorites. Then I have Forbidden Hearts by Corinne Michaels. This is another single dad nanny romance, but I love this one. It is just so fun and very like spicy, and just all around such a great single dad nanny romance. So the heroine is taking a break from her master's program because of something that happened at school, and she is going back to her small town and to just kind of recoup and figure out what she wants to do, if she wants to go back to grad school or whatever. And the hero is a single dad, and he has a 5-year-old daughter, and she is deaf. And his baby mama is going on a work trip, and he is also a sheriff and has like a full-time job, so he needs a nanny. And he had a nanny, but it fell through, and he needs somebody that knows ASL, and the heroine is the only one in this town that knows sign language. And he had a really bad experience with her years ago when she babysat once, and so he is just like so turned off by her and is like, no, like I don't want you to nanny, but it's like she's his last resort, so he begrudgingly agrees, and she starts nannying for him. And her relationship with his daughter is just absolutely adorable, and there's lots of tension and angst, and I think it's also an age gap, like maybe 10 years, and it is just freaking so good. I love this one. I love the forced proximity aspects. So good. Like they could not keep their hands off of each other, and it is amazing. Love this one. The audiobook's really good. I think Zachary Wepper narrates this one as well, and I just remember loving it. So love this one. Definitely go check it out if you haven't read it yet. Then I have Wreck My Plans by Jillian Meadows. This is a kind of Christmassy romance, but I feel like you could still read it not around Christmas time. So the hero and heroine have been family friends for years. Like the hero is best friends with her older brother, and they have spent Christmas with each other like for every year since she can remember. But something happens 3 years ago, and the hero just stops coming to Christmas. And for this year at Christmas, the heroine was supposed to spend Christmas with her best friend, but that fell through, so she ends up spending Christmas with her family. And the hero's been avoiding her for 3 years, and she shows up for Christmas, and he's there as well. So they also just don't get along because she feels like he really abandoned her and her whole family, but he just started catching feelings for her. So there's lots of mutual pining in this one as well. And he is just like head over heels in love with her, but she like has a crush on him, and it's also like they both have feelings for each other, but they just haven't admitted it to the other person. And it is so good. Like 10 years of pining. I think it's also a 10-year age gap as well, and I just remember like loving this one. So angsty, tension filled. Also has one bed trope, which was super fun. And I just loved how the hero tried so hard not to give in to her, but like couldn't resist. It was amazing. Love this one. This is also on KU, so definitely go check it out. I love this one. Then I have Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. I had to include this one on here. I know I talk about it a lot, but I love this romance, and this is just like the perfect like forced proximity romance and workplace romance. So the hero and heroine were in a relationship years ago, but they broke up, and they are both still so heartbroken over what happened. And now it is years later, and the heroine is a very famous wedding planner, but she's about to get her big break, and the couple wants to use the hero as their florist, and they end up having to work together on the wedding. And it is just like so painful because you can tell they're both so like heartbroken, and he kind of like doesn't like hate her, but he's kind of mean to her at first, like, you know, doesn't really want to be around her. And it is just so tension filled and angsty. I read this book in 2 days because I was obsessed. And he also like has all these tattoos of flowers on himself, and it is just so good. I loved it. Like the mutual pining was top tier in this one, and I loved like all of the little touches, and like, oh, it just makes me feel like ooey gooey. Like I love this romance so much. I just cannot wait for more romances from Julie Soto. And I have One Touch by Lena Hendricks. This is another small town romance. This one is super fun. So I think the hero is also the heroine's like ex-boyfriend's older brother as well. And so the heroine is working with, I think, her great aunt to refurbish her house, and the hero is a carpenter, I think, and so they end up having to work together on the house, renovating it, but they hate each other. And it is really good. Lots of tension, forced proximity, It was just such a fun audiobook. I remember loving it while I was listening to it, and I just loved like like the hate to love. It was just really, really funny. The banter was hilarious in this one. I need to read more from Lena Hendricks, but I just love this one. And they also started doing like this social media thing of like documenting them working together and changing different things in the house. And it was just such a fun small town romance and with like workplace forced proximity, and I love this one. They had to include a QB Tyler book on this list, so I decided to choose Keep Her Safe, which I feel like is one of her best books. I love this one. So this is a bodyguard age gap romance. The hero and heroine met when she is, I think, 18, and the heroine is a famous actress, and her parents are like, you need to hire a bodyguard because you're getting more famous, just for security reasons. And so since she met the hero, she's had a crush on him for years, and now it is a couple of years later and she has broken up with her longtime boyfriend, and she makes her feelings known to the hero, and it is so freaking good. I love this book. I love how spicy it is. It's just such a good time, very entertaining, and he is just like falling for her but also like wanting to literally protect her, and this book is just so good. It's chef's kiss. I love this one. I think I read the whole thing on KU, and this one is just so good. Like if you want a really good bodyguard romance, this would be perfect for you. Lots of like tension and mutual pining, and he is, I think, at least like 10 plus years older than her, which I love a good age gap with a forbidden romance, and this one is just top tier. So good. Then the last book I'm going to include in this list is Devil's Daughter by Lisa Kleypas. I wanted to include a historical romance on this list. This is a part of the Ravenel series by Lisa Kleypas, and you do not have to read this series in order, but I did, and I love this book. This is definitely one of my favorites of the series. So the heroine is recently widowed and she has a son, and the hero, he is like a part, like he's a cousin of the heroine from the first book, and they kind of, I think like something happens where like one of her siblings is married to like one of his cousins or something, so they end up having to go on like this like trip in the like English countryside, and she hates him because her late husband would always say that he was a bully to him, like the hero in like school or whatever, and so she's like, I don't want to be near him. But they start getting closer and closer on this trip and start falling for each other, but she's like, how can I fall for the man who my husband hated? And it is just such a good story. It is very angsty. They have to also work together because she is now like the head of the estate, and her son is the heir to the estate, so she needs to like figure out the lands and stuff, and he works in like agriculture, does something where he knows all of that stuff, and it was just so good. I remember just like loving this one, feeling so giddy, loving all like the little touches, and just like them being so like obsessed with each other, and it is just so good. Love this one. Definitely go check it out. All right, well, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing me chat about some of my favorite forced proximity romances. This is one of my favorite tropes ever, and I just love these romances. I think they're so fun. I love the angst and tension that these romances bring. I just love this trope so much. But I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and definitely down below let me know your favorite forced proximity romances, because I would love to know. And I hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.